So we're moving towards the fourth level of consciousness, which is the heart center. And the heart center represents authenticity. But before we go there, I want to go into the base and talk about how we have had to hide our issues, whether they be energetic, emotional, physical, or mental, due to that front that leaders have to put up. I call it the veneer, but a lot of times it shows up as like restrictive robotic behavior that you lose your empathy. What I'm finding in our leadership conversations is that leaders, when given the opportunity to be transparent, open, and real with each other, transform culture. Culture drives on transparency. And when you can up level to a cohesion and resonance with the team around you, then you can really start to drive innovation into your culture that allows your business to grow in these very intense and highly challenging times. So let's talk shadow, self, and consciousness. Shadow are subconscious blocks. They're the things that we can't really look at because of time, of pressure, of needing to get things done. One of the things that we're finding in the light side of this is that when you pause and you take a break and you allow yourself to be the present leader, things actually happen faster. So it's worth the investment into that space in between the pause to become more present and witness your feelings, your emotions, your energy, what's happening inside of you and what's happening inside your team, and have really strong, facilitated breakthrough conversations that hit the fast forward button on how you're innovating in your business. Conscious leadership means being more conscious of what you're sensing, seeing, feeling, how you're being in this world. I call it self-reflective leadership, the ability of your brain to see yourself and witness yourself in relationship to the people around you, and then quickly pivot if you're out of alignment in a situation that's causing incongruency or friction or drag or slowing things down. So how do you get there? Well, we got to look at the dark side like we have been in some of my videos where I talked about level 1, 2, and 3, the victim, the martyr, and the drudge. Once you get through that lower vibrational sludge, I call it, and you start to get into authentic connective relationship within your business, things will start to move faster. So let's just talk about suffering for a moment. Suffering shows up in so many ways. It doesn't have to be that you're in pain. It could be that you're just drained. You're headed towards burnout. Suffering could be chronic miscommunication, a technological integration that's not going well, that's just causing incongruency across the board in your entire organization. One of the biggest undermining energies that can cause suffering in a business and a leader is mistrust. When your employees or your team do not trust each other or are not building transparent trust exercises, it devalues your culture. It causes your culture to become toxic and stagnate, and that loops us right or back around to suffering. So let's talk about the quick pause that can get you out of it. And it's an interesting one. It's the space in between the breath. Once you can get yourself to stop, regulate, connect, and then connect with the people around you, it can easily change the dynamic of this in your culture. So let's do it together. Closing your eyes is important, but for some of our leaders, we have to start with eyes open. So you start with where you're comfortable, and if you're driving your car listening to this, please do not close your eyes. So we usually close our eyes to tune out all that outside noise and tune inwards to the peace and calm that can be generated in your central nervous system. And then press your feet into the floor and say to yourself, stop. That's a way to become present. You stop the noise, you stop the interference, you stop the incongruency, you stop the energetic dissonance, whatever it is, it's stop. And then you take a deep breath in through your nose and hold. Feel the space as your chest and abdomen rise. Feel the space in between. Pause. Breathe out, release. I always like to say, breathe out black, sludgy, smoky, blah, whatever becomes stagnant and is causing you and your leadership to suffer. And then you respond. And then you open your eyes. And then you can connect. So it's press your feet into the floor, stop, release. Take a deep breath in, feel the space in between, say to yourself, pause, and then entrain yourself to react slower. Because in unregulated environments that are suffering, in toxic workspaces, there's not a pause. Nobody's pausing to feel the space in between. The remedy of consciousness for the first level of consciousness is the present witness. There's more to this. There's the development of mirror neurons, which is your brain's ability to be empathic, to see situations through other people's eyes. Think about taking off a pair of cloudy glasses and seeing things more clearly. Wouldn't that shift your culture? Well, I'm going to tell you it will. When you do these simple exercises with your team and you go through a facilitated application, your culture will start to change, starting with your leadership team and then moving out into your culture.